We're live, and James is here.
Woo!
Woo!
I've been watching the show. It turns out.
Yeah, and James, yeah, I'm glad. It's funny because James was like the one who was most of all like, we have to do streams for Skeleton Crew.
Let's do it. Let's do it this weekend. Everybody, this weekend. And then never to be seen again.
And now I'm here on the 2 best episodes. I wanted to wait for the best episodes. That's what I wanted to wait for. So, yeah, that's why I did what I did. You know?
Clearly.
I support that.
Let's start there, actually. First of all, thanks, people in chat, for waiting for us. We had technical difficulties. James's computer needs a hug, apparently. Yeah, his audio is coming through his webcam today, apparently. So, sorry about that.
We got to do what we got to do.
But, James, you haven't streamed with us yet, and you just said these were your 2 favorite, these are the 2 best episodes?
I think they're my favorite for sure.
These 2 specifically, or just this one?
Definitely 5 is my favorite out of the 2, but I think that it's just I think every episode has been increasingly gotten better and better, in my opinion.
Ah, cool. What was everyone else's?
And I haven't really been paying attention to what have y'all been saying. I've been deliberately not deliberately staying in the dark on y'all's opinions, so I'm kind of coming in blind to a certain extent. I gave everybody on the stream a heads up that I'm going to be the least prepared on the stream. So treat me like I'm like the general audience, like that barely paid attention to the music and is eager to be educated today. But yeah, I just thought like the twists and turns and the also like the world building of this like spa planet thing it's just there's a lot of like weirdo, wonderful, magical Star Wars happening in the last couple episodes that I've been a big fan of, and it's like it's a true journey of discovery. You know, the show has been a real pleasure cruise. You know.
A pleasure yacht. A true pleasure yacht.
James knows what a pleasure yacht is, even if those kids don't.
Concubine.
Oh, that's right. Hey, that's right. Yeah, I'll tell you when you're older. Yeah, that was nice. That was like a nice little like you don't see that kind of very often in Star Wars. Like I feel like Pixar movies do this a lot, or Pixar or Disney movies do a lot, where they have like a little wink for the parents. You know what I mean? But because Star Wars exists outside of like the real universe, there's not like a lot of opportunity to do that, you know, because like references to things that are inappropriate for kids, like necessarily, I guess I might say like the death sticks thing might be like the closest version of that from like the Star Wars movies, is like something that's clearly like this guy is doing drugs, and like we're not really saying it in those types of terms to the kids in the audience, but like the parents would be like, oh, that's funny, like don't smoke death sticks, you know.
Right.
So I found that this little joke was kind of like an interesting, like, oh, that's interesting. That's like a very adult joke that obviously the kids are not going to understand until they go back to school next week and are asking their teachers what a concubine is, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway,
I feel like if they went to the
Teachers are
opera,
well
they would
prepared.
know.
Yeah, they would totally know. Concubines are like the number one thing in every opera, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all the classical music kids know, basically.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty interesting. Yeah.
So we have a lot. We have 2 episodes to cover. I'm wondering, should we start with like the highlights from episode 4 and then go into highlights from episode 5?
We could also do examples to make sure
Yeah.
we get all of them in, and then that'll cover a lot of the highlights naturally.
Yeah. And should we do
If y'all have examples,
Yes.
I might suggest something that's somewhat selfishly oriented.
Okay.
Which is, and this is fun. We haven't done this I feel like in a while, unless y'all have been doing this for the last 3 weeks and I just haven't been paying attention. Is the quizzes. And I'm curious if y'all might want to do like guess which part of the episode this happened type of thing. Because, like I said, I am utterly unprepared, and I would love to try to guess.
That's basic. Yeah, that's what we've been doing the last. Actually, we've returned to form for this series.
Really
we've returned to old
really
form.
funny.
It's great. So these are all for you, James. These are all
sorry,
for
y'all.
you.
It's been a really busy holiday season. I've been just like clinging on by a thread here. So yeah, I would love to like guess y'all's examples this week as somebody that like basically didn't prepare. So if y'all
We're here for
James, that was me last week and the week before, or last stream and the stream before. I was really busy and just had time to watch the episode once.
Yeah.
And that was that.
Yeah.
And so
like I watched this episode like at like maybe
guess
1 a.m. after like hanging out with my family in Maine on my iPad, like up in like my little garage loft that I was sleeping in for the last week. Like no headphones. Definitely was not being like paying attention to the music, just like being like I need to make sure that I stay up to date on this show. So again, I would love to like guess some stuff. So
That's why we're here.
Let's
do it. Yeah, and anyone in chat, let us know if you noticed any recurring musical themes or instruments or bits of music in either episode 4 or episode 5. 'Cause I'm just always curious what people are noticing. Okay.
Right.
Who wants to go first?
I got one.
Go ahead.
I got one.
Oh, and
I
should
got a
our
bunch,
examples be
actually.
all from episode 4 first and then all from episode 5? Or should
Yeah,
we mix?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so we're doing episode
that will
4
make it
quiz.
easier for
Episode
me
4.
for sure.
Episode 4
Yeah.
quiz.
Oh yeah. I need to pull out.
Okay. Here's one that actually appears in a few places, which is fun. But here's the first instance of this. Let's see here. Where can we all hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, it wasn't coming in earlier. Let's see if I can type this out. Maybe I need more reverb. Hold on.
That's really good. I like that.
Here's too much reverb. There it is.
Ooh.
I know the answer,
That's-
but I'm
that's
going to
not
let
part of it.
James.
That's not part of it. The thunky dee thunk. It comes in later again. We're talking about first instance. It comes in a little bit later. Actually, way later.
In episode 4?
Way later. In episode 4, this comes back a good 30 minutes later. Actually.
Play it again.
Yeah, here's the first time.
Have you played it yet?
Yeah,
let's
he's
find
played it
out.
already.
Oh, okay. I thought he was just like getting his sounds. It's very plunky.
Like just doodling around.
I know, right? No.
Okay.
That's believe it or not, that's what it actually sounds like.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Interesting. This is episode 4.
This
Christina,
is episode 4.
It happens
Do you
once
have
in
any
episode
guesses?
5 too.
Oh, I missed it in episode 5. You'll have to show me.
Do you have any guesses, Christina?
It reminds me, like the vibe is really similar to when the title theme comes in with the droid faces. But I also
Yeah, a
just
little bit. Think of
I
the
love
harmony
that
in this.
vibe.
Yeah, this
Very
I'm not doing the
Christmassy feeling.
harmony or the atmosphere behind it. It's just a little bit more creepy than the. I'll give you that. Like, a little
So
more
it's not so
creepy.
special Christmas feel. It's more
It's more like
creep feel.
creepy Christmas feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Creepy
Definitely.
Is
Christmas
it-
feel.
Is it when they're stepping out of the spaceship onto the mystery planet that they've arrived at in the beginning of the episode? And they're like walking down the cockpit, or what do you call it, the ramp?
Yeah.
Woo!
Actually.
Hey.
Yeah. This appears around 3:30 into the episode as they're noticing that all is not what it seems. They are not in
Yes.
Kansas. They did not return to Kansas. They ended up somewhere way else. But oddly familiar, which is kind of cool discovering these planets to be potentially identical to each other.
Right.
In a way, because they
Which
all
is
knew everything there. Like, oh, my mom works there. Oh, that's where the thing is. It's like, but everything was off.
what were y'all's thoughts when this started in the beginning of this episode in terms of like what we were looking at there, like what was happening? What was your like? Did anybody have any theories or assumptions when they arrived at this planet and they see it looking like this?
Not really.
Yeah,
Well, I know
I
that
thought
they said,
the answer might be that.
oh, because like, I know that they were like, oh, this looks just like Attin, and I don't know Attin well enough to verify that. I'm like, I don't know, it doesn't look like what we've seen of Attin, so,
Yeah.
but whatever, I don't know. I was just going.
I
guess-
immediately thought was like, oh, there's been some terrible tragedy that happened on their planet, or this is
really?
like, or I was like, this is like something that like exists outside of their like city limits. Like this is what the rest of the Attin looks like. I thought they were on Attin, but it was like this is what it looks like outside of their little crystallized town. Like maybe like the rest of the planet has been like plundered and destroyed or something like that, and they live in a little bubble. And it took a second for me to be like, okay, they're just straight up on the wrong planet, right? Which was interesting.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting that they of course that they're confused about this to a certain extent because they've never seen what their planet looks like from outside of it. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So they don't know that what it's going to look like when they actually arrive on their correct planet, which is interesting.
Especially if all these planets of this seemingly legendary destroyed system all were the same. Potentially, they could all be very, very. Is even 33 Smee, as I'm just going to keep calling him. Was like, this looks like where I grew up, and even or Jod even Jude Law was even like,
Yeah,
this
that
looks
made
like
me-
where I grew up. So it makes me think he's from one of these planets.
Oh.
Perhaps he's from one.
Which is why he is so
He's like-
certain that Attin exists.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He might be from one
Oh, good
kind of a
catch.
thing.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's where this theme appears. And do you know? Can anyone guess where it appears again? A little bit later. Well, again, a lot bit later, which is fun. It kind of comes back.
Is it when uh
A little bit of an
is
extension.
it when what is the girl's name of the Trek?
Hayat. Hayan?
Oh,
Hayan?
oh.
Hayan? Haya? Haya?
Haya? Haya?
It starts with an H and there's an
I
A
should have
and
written it
there's a Y
down.
in it.
Yeah, the Troik.
Great. So Han. Is it when is it when Ham of the Trek let's call her the Trek princess. So it's when the Trek princess and Neil are talking sweetly near the big gun on top of the school.
No. But it does
is it-
involve her. It does involve her, though.
Oh, interesting.
She says something and then it plays.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like during the last discussion that Neil has with her? Like
Like right
around
before
26
that.
minutes
Yeah,
or
so.
around she points out the fallen sanctum. They arrive and they're like, so it's like right in between both of your where your guess is. It's right in between that. She's like, look, the fallen sanctum. Kind of a thing. And then just one more example of this from this episode where it goes a little bit different. Same pitch class.
Which
same
means the
idea,
same collection of notes. Yeah.
Same collection of notes, and it does this. Let's see if I can play that. I'm not a keyboardist. There's one more. It's pretty prominent. I know.
You're getting a great sound out of it. It sounds really so similar.
Chekhov's giant roof gun, exactly. Yeah, they're definitely going to use that gun on Attin to defend against pirates, no doubt.
So is the idea is that they
Sorry,
have like a version of that
I
gun
selfishly
on
responded.
Attin too?
Maybe.
They
It's like
must.
everything
They're going to
is.
be like, oh, we have a gun.
And is the idea is like it's like the landscape and like the design of the city is like 1-to-1 with Attin, but it's just right. That's the vibe that I was getting. They were like,
It
oh,
feels
over
like
there
that.
is our building, but it doesn't look like that or something like that. Like they made some comments like that. Is that the
Right.
idea? Is like they're basically in a recreation identical city, but it's just ruined and run by children.
Well, there's adults.
Yeah.
Adults
some,
that
like,
send newly met children straight into battle 15 minutes after meeting them.
Yeah.
Dude, being a
So-
kid in Star Wars sucks. I'm just gonna say it, okay? Like there are very little labor laws anywhere throughout the galaxy, like protections for kids. Anywhere you go, there's various terrible situations that kids are stuck in. You know, they're being sold into slavery on Tatooine. Being a kid in Star Wars, really, or you're just like forced to go like engage in dangerous bounty hunter missions with your clone dad. You know, it's like
Well,
really
I don't know,
being
James.
a
It's like
kid.
in the real world, like for the kids on Attin, clearly it doesn't suck in the same way. Like, and there are
Right.
countries, places where kids, like Attin is closer to like how we
Oh.
are, like living here. You know what I mean?
Agreed. This is all
Yeah.
based on reality. I just mean like it's they definitely make a point to make sure to create these scenarios over and over again. Being
Yeah.
a kid is not all rosy.
So Justin, I know where I think I know where we hear that, and it's
That the final, a little bit different, but it's way too high.
Yeah, I think it's when they look at the carvings, and they find Attin, but the coordinates are gone.
Yeah, exactly. Jod goes, they're definitely gone, and we get this like swipe, and we hear the mystical chord, and it's just interesting that every time this kind of appears, I want to say that it's like, I mean, not representing the planets, but it seems to be very like Attin. Here's the theme. Oh, it's a thing of the planets. Here's the thing. It's like this, like the mystery at theme.
Yep.
That's
At
my
theme.
speculation on this. It just
Yeah.
seems to appear every time they're mentioning Attin, this pitch class, these groupings of notes.
Yeah.
It was recurring every time that happened. So,
Yeah, I'm on the same wavelength as you. I mean, I called it missing coordinates, but it
Missing coordinates,
goes
yeah.
it goes along with like missing planet or not sure what's going on related to the planet. I don't know. Yeah.
By the way, have y'all talked about Smee's voice actor?
No. Do
No.
you want to say something?
Well, it's Nick Frost. You know this guy?
Oh, right.
He's a British actor. He was like in Shaun of the Dead and like Hot Fuzz and all those movies.
Oh, he's great.
Like, he's awesome. And I just I mean, it kind of doesn't sound much like him, but he does. I really love the way that he, I don't know, there's something very aesthetically pleasing about the way he delivers like almost any line in this. Like, I don't recall, what was he say? I can't say I remember, Attin, like the way he pronounces Attin to me is like very, like I could just hear him say that phrase over and over again. It really kind of, ASMRs my,
And according to that article on StarWars.com, the Skywalker Sound interview, Nick Frost's only some of his lines are modulated, said David W. Collins.
Oh, okay.
Most of the sound design work was added to enhance the droid's old joints and dragging wires. SM-33 is probably one of the noisiest droids we've ever made, and that's on purpose. He's covered with wires and he's got a peg leg. We wanted him to sound like a broken tank, just a little spooky and hollow and haunted and ratchety.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah, just because I think that Smee's, I'm gonna call him Smee. I think that his writing and his delivery is almost like one of the stars of the show. It's really good. I made a point to just list everything that he says that I think is wonderful. And yeah, I just wanted to point that out. But and I will list one, which is indeed from episode 4, which is initiating babysitting sequence. Come on, baby, baby, come on to the ship, baby. Don't make me count. It was good.
He's slowly,
it was so good.
He's slowly replacing K2SO as one of my favorite droids.
Well, okay. I meant to like put this in a DAW or something, but maybe you can all weigh in. In episode 4, when he's saying, can't say I remember, no, Attin, do you think he's re-saying it, or do you think it's one recording that's just spit out every time?
I think he said it a little different each time. He says it in the same manner, but I think it's a little different each time.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure, but it was.
Yeah,
but, you know.
Can you imagine what that day in the booth was like, recording that line over and over again? All right, we got it, because it's like it's probably one of the more. Times. Yeah, right.
That's like Vin Diesel playing Groot from Marvels, where it's you get Vin Diesel and you just have him say "I am Groot" 5,000 times.
Or "Yo soy Groot." You ever seen? Because he did all the. He did all of the foreign language.
Oh, really?
Dubs of all those movies. Vin Diesel, yeah, he is the actor in every version of the movie, and he just said that line because he only has one line in the whole thing. Yeah. Right. So they just had him do all the. So it's always Vin Diesel in every version of that. You know. So like there's like a video of him just going "Yo soy Groot" like over and over. Groot.
Also, it's a bit of a jump from, I think, just to bring it up, because it's, like, related. So it's from episode 5, but I'm just going to list more, is that okay, of, like, Smee's amazing lines.
Yeah.
Which is when they're like, finding the grotto, he's like, the mangled corpses of the captain's foes. And then he says, me circuits buzz to see it again. And I like that, like, me circuits buzz to see it again. And then, 'tis so good to have me memory back. And I just love the way he says "tis." It does that pirate thing where it's like some things are like super accurate and like well spoken in a sort of old British kind of a way, British Irish way, and then other things are like completely slanged.
Right.
So, yeah.
By the way, everybody, SM33 is actually also a soothing antiseptic gel for the treatment of inflamed gums and mouth tissue. It turns out, just so you know.
733.
SM33.
SM33.
Oh,
it's
SM33.
It's also an
like
old Shure microphone.
The mouth.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
But yeah, he's great, and I'm would you say somebody just said it. They were just like, yeah, he's like the way he works at the show. Like, I think is really important and kind of makes the show. And it kind of reminds me of like what George Lucas was saying on set in The Phantom Menace about specifically Jar Jar. Like, there's some quotes that he made that were basically like, if we get Jar Jar working, the whole film works. and that's what was his point. Is like, this character is kind of like what the movie in many ways like rests on, is like the audience's reception of this character, because he's like the idea for him is he's just gonna blow everyone's minds, and he's so charming, and he's so interesting, and it's kind of what the droids were in the original movies, right? It's just like R2-D2 and C-3PO are the heart and soul of that movie, of the original Star Wars, right? They're just so like, they were so quirky and weird and charming. Anyway, I think SM33 is kind of like that for this show. He's just so quirky, weird, and charming, and he like kind of makes the whole, like, if he didn't work, if he was like annoying, it kind of would ruin the show. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, it would.
Okay, so another musical example is more of a rhythm. We'll say. Sorry, it's not pitched.
Yes.
Ba 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 ba. Da 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 da. And then like at least once there's also da da da. Yeah. But it's that same beat. Lots throughout episode 4.
Are there any particular spots, or you're just saying that this kind of reappears over and over
Justin's
again?
doing something with it.
Lots of spots, and it is associated with something.
Interesting.
I have one guess, but I
Okay.
don't know for sure. But my guess is when I feel like that sounds a lot like there was like a piano line that was like several clustered notes together that I kind of wanted to use an example but didn't have time to. When the children were forced to lead the battle and they were like walking forward and it was like bam, bam, bam. When was that? I didn't write it down when it was either. So I didn't write the time code.
The snare drum is playing that rhythm in that section, and then there's like piano chords at that moment. It's when they've sent these children to the front of the line.
Yeah.
Against Jod.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that is one of the spots. Because I think it is like at 21:18-ish.
Yeah, it comes in later there, but it also comes in way earlier.
Yeah. It comes in at 8:06. Actually,
Yeah,
it is
with these
a
low
it is
strings,
a pitched
right?
F.
It's all
The
like
first time it
low.
comes in?
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
boom,
exactly.
boom, 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 ba-da-da-da-dum.
Yeah.
I know where this is. I know
Yep.
where this first appears. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it seems to be associated with. What do you think, Justin?
This is when they first meet the Troich. I can't do the
Yes.
accent. The Troich.
Shrek drum.
Christina, help me.
Yeah.
Like,
The Troich. Our Russian French friends from space.
Yeah.
Like, no hate on the accent. It was just one of those like, oh, we haven't heard this one. Both of these episodes were full of wonderful accents. Just like all sorts of. We went to Russia, to France, then to Ireland in the next episode. It's there's all sorts of great ones. Yeah, this is when they meet the Troik.
Yep. Yep. And we hear it like 4 times in the episode. So. Yeah, if it comes up again
They were
in a future episode,
the Troik were.
then they're kind of hardcore.
I'm thinking there's no such thing
Yeah.
as Troik with an S. I'm thinking it's Troik, both plural and singular. Just
Troik, troiks,
that note.
Well, the subtitles said
We are the Troik. Yeah, we are Troik, right? She said we are Troiks.
Yeah.
I think what's funny with the Troik is
The subtitle put an
they
S.
themselves are also very sonic people because it's like it's the stereotype of or the trope of the staff. You see that so much. I'm trying to think of other things I've seen this in, but the boom boom. It means everything and nothing at the same time. It's like everybody knows what 1 hit means. Everybody knows what 2 hits means. He can grunt and hit, and everybody knows what that means. He can, you know what I mean? It's all with. It's like this. Everyone just are there drills that they have? It's like, okay, now when I am this far apart, but if it's 2 rapid ones, that means this. But if it's one after the other, you all got to go, huh, huh. At the same time, no matter what you're doing,
it's probably all institutional knowledge. There's probably not a meaningful onboarding process. There's probably or any onboarding training. I think it's probably just you kind of learn on the job. Probably.
Do you remember when?
Yeah, I think tragically. Oh, yeah, it's kind of like what dictatorship makes happen because their lives 100% depend on that guy's moods. And so the stick lets them know like how he feels, and so they are like really responsive to it because like when like they want to laugh when he laughs, they don't want to be the one to miss the cue. Yeah.
It's his mood stick.
Do you remember back in the 1600s, when we were alive then, conductors used to use a stick, like a big staff to conduct. And they would just
right.
And then that one guy died because the conductor, he missed.
Jean-Baptiste
Yep.
He stabbed his foot.
Skewered his foot and died of gangrene. Yeah.
That's what all Baroque music is missing. It's just a big stick banging out the rhythm the entire time.
Yeah.
That is a good point. Why don't we have that? That is clearly part of the tradition. Oh, because of the injury lawsuit.
Because of the
Orchestras don't have that kind of money for insurance.
Don't have gangrene insurance.
Yeah, just get steel boots.
That's true. They're known to make you feel the music. Do you have another one, Justin?
I have another one. Yes.
Okay.
Let's see here. Okay, this is okay. Again, not a keyboardist, so I'm gonna do my best here. There's a whole bunch of this is all on the same instrument, and there's a bunch of harmony that happens that I can't play, but I'm gonna do the beginning and then the melody for the most part. Let's see if I can do this.
Oh, I know that last part.
I know the end part.
It features the main theme, but it comes in.
I know exactly where it is.
It's a harp.
This was my favorite part of the whole episode. I wrote like an obscenely long description of this part.
Please read it.
Or at least, and then I'm going to be wrong. Let's see that happen. Justin's still playing it though, I think. Sorry. That's at 17:25. Or 17:20.
Yeah, right there. I wrote 17:17, but yeah.
Yeah, and it goes from 1720 to 1830, and it's when the Troik princess and Neil are talking about like always versus never. Like they were like, we're always fighting, we're never fighting. It was that kind of like sad, deep philosophical conversation. But and I like the way.
Wait a second. This is a song from Company, the musical. Okay, you know this song? You're always fighting. You're never fighting. So you know this? Have you seen Company?
Actually,
like you're always grateful.
Yeah.
You're never happy, or whatever that song is. Yeah.
You're happy, sad. You're sorry, grateful. Yeah. They're always
You're always sorry. You're always thankful. Yeah. Anyway. It's about dating in your 30s.
But yeah.
That's
Justin, I really liked the way that you talked about it because, like, what you said was what I really liked about this section was specifically what you said. You were like, I'm not a keyboardist, so like I'm gonna try to play this because I thought that the performance of this was really really good of this little bit because so like what was cool about it is that there's like it's something that's unique to. I mean, it's not like solo instruments can't perform this kind of thing. Like on a flute or a violin, you can go like you can like play an accompaniment while also playing a melody, but it's incredibly difficult and maybe like a little bit awful, depending on I mean, point being, it can be awful. But point being, the instruments that are made to do that are specifically plucked or what did I
Piano.
call it? Like,
Idiophones.
pluckable and strikeable instruments. So that's piano, that's vibraphone, that's marimba, harp, guitar, acoustic guitar specifically, like things that you can do that on. And then what lets you know if a player is successfully virtuosic or not is how successfully they're able to play the accompaniment quietly while playing the melody notes prominently.
How to emphasize the right,
kind of how
the line within the notes, because it is a bit like, if you look at what all the notes, it's like all over the place, but the melody might like follow a certain curvature. So when learning a piece like that, you have to consciously figure out how to emphasize the notes within the sea of notes.
Which is wild for like people that know how to play piano, is like when they're doing all these things, yet somehow the pinky is like plucking out a perfect melody among everything else. It's like insane. And there's a lot of virtuosic solo stuff where they attempt to do the same. I think of like all the violin and flute
solo Bach
showpieces. Yeah, it's just all about, here's the one bit, and then you're gonna do 20 things underneath that, all on one line, but still you have to like pop out the right tune so we can know the melody, but all the other crazy things you're doing in between it.
Yeah, and I think I spent a long time, for some reason, like this really made me think a lot about the nature of that kind of performance practice, because I think that the difference is like instruments that have sustaining pitch options are the ones that don't do that so easily. So if you're able to hold a note or sing a note or blow a note with your voice, that's really hard to do at the same time. Whereas plucked instruments and strike instruments, like mallet instruments, you play and then the note just resonates and stops. You don't have to, you start the note and then it's done, and it's just about how you start the note. And that's what mostly matters. And
where would violin fit in that, in
I
your
think
categorization?
violin mostly fits into the sustaining pitch one, in the sense that if you're playing legato violin, it takes virtuosic effort to successfully both accompany yourself and play a melody. But if you're like incorporating pluck, strings, and sometimes doing that, and with violin, I think violin maybe has the most option to shift between them, because in violin you can imitate the mallet and strike thing by striking the string in a more intense way. And I think you're just like imitating the mallet or plucked thing, as opposed to it's like adapting it to something that it's not meant to do, or like not easily, it's not going to be done by like a third grader who's learning.
Right. Okay. So
randomly.
So I guess
like,
by
you're
virtuosic,
not figure that out.
Yeah. So I think another thing, when you mentioned flute and voice, is you're talking about basically, there's multiphonics and everything. You're basically talking about like monophonic situations where you basically can only play one note at a time. Whereas on these other examples, not only are they the striking note rings out type of instrument, but you can play multiple notes at a time. And violin also you can play multiple notes at a time. However, in some keys, it's not always going to be possible to hit it's like you can hit multiple notes, but you have to really understand the instrument to know how to voice it. So it's like a writing challenge. But when you get it right, you can actually accompany yourself quite well. Like in all of solo Bach partitas and sonatas they're just for a solo violin, and they're pretty astounding to play and listen to, because you're like making a fugue on one instrument by like striking the strings in a certain way that makes, the certain notes come out. But it is still not as easy. It's not as easy as like on the piano. But
so this gives me the idea that if you were to play the same fugue and you were to play all the notes exactly the same way, it would be a completely different experience from if you strike them in different ways to bring out the melody. It's like if I was like, oh yeah, I can just play those notes.
Yeah.
It kind of like wouldn't be playing the piece, basically.
Totally.
Yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. And the other thing that I wanted to point out was that I don't know if did anyone listen in headphones?
Yeah.
Am I the only headphone listener that did in our group? So the accompaniment was panned very obviously to the left ear, and the melody was definitely panned to the right ear, which also made me wonder if they just actually had two different instruments playing, and it wasn't even actually someone accompanying themselves. But it's still an opportunity to talk about it because
Yeah.
it's interesting. Um,
It's possible that it was just two different instruments,
Mhm.
or two takes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
two tracks.
It seems
in the DAW.
Yeah, it seems
Because obviously it was two tracks since it was panned so completely left and right. But yeah, still, that was good mixing on their part, I think. Like, that was a wise. I liked it.
Yeah,
I
as somebody
can't-
listened to listened to it on an iPad at low volume at 2 a.m, I did notice that the melody was coming from 5 centimeters to my right, and the accompaniment was coming from the other side of my iPad as well. I did not notice that.
I feel like this, if it's on the soundtrack, then it'll be easier to hear. Although it will be mixed differently for the soundtrack. But anyway,
I'm excited to listen to this soundtrack. I think
Me
there's
too.
some really good
Me
just
too.
good plays.
Yeah.
Good,
yeah. Okay, so I'll do another one.
Yay!
Let me get. There's a pattern here.
Keep going down with it.
Yeah, you could go down indefinitely.
Isn't that like Shostakovich or something like that?
It kind of sounds like it.
Kind of sounds like Shasti 5, honestly.
Good old Shasti.
Bam, bam, boom, bam, bam, boom, bam, bam, boom.
It's Kylo Ren's theme, right?
Kind of, yeah. It's Kylo. It's actually an unused Kylo Ren theme for him falling down that chasm during that scene. And
Not quite the redemption. Not quite redemption.
Isn't there like something? Isn't there like some music that kind of sounds like that when Darth Maul kicks Obi-Wan's lightsaber down the shaft, where it's like a falling sound? It's like a falling theme at that moment. I kind of have an oral memory of that. Anyway, okay, I have a guess, but I don't know. Is this happening when like Smee is like turning evil, and like is this at the end of the episode? No. Okay, it's just a guess. It's just a guess.
I did like that moment though. All of a sudden, he like puts himself back together in a weird, because he's been limping the whole time, and all of a sudden he can like, which is then funny in the next episode where they tie him down with ropes and they're like,
That's
"All right, take us there." He's like, "All right, pop!" And he just pops right out of the ropes, and you're like, "Oh,
well, that
okay."
that is speaking of which, that's a very Treasure Island thing, right? Isn't there the scene where Long John Silver like stops his like limping act and he like can walk clearly, or am I
No, he's always he limps the whole
things?
time.
Okay, I'm thinking of The Usual Suspects then. I'm thinking of Kaiser Sose at the end of The Usual Suspects.
Ah, okay.
That's right.
Also, in that moment, the rope sound effect was really good. When when they were tying the ropes on Smee, and then when they snapped, that was super
Yeah,
cool
that was
sounding
great.
line, I thought.
But
I don't really have a guess. Justin seems to know.
There's a point where something very similar comes in. I wrote at 2424, also dealing with looking at the Fallen Sanctum.
Yep.
But is that the same bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically,
I got
basically
2629. Yeah, 26 something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. I just found it.
with like magical harp stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who knows if it'll come back?
Maybe.
Either in the context of the Fallen Sanctum or something in the something thematically related, if not exactly that again. Yeah. And notice how like it is the same, I wrote the intervals below. So first it goes down a minor second. Oh, yeah, Justin can just play it on the flute. Yes. Okay, you know what it also sounds like?
We're a talented group of people,
We know how to do. We went to music school.
It sounds like Scheherazade.
A little
kind of
bit,
does.
yeah.
Okay, you know what's funny? No, that's what I was thinking. It's not Shostakovich 5. I actually mix up Shostakovich 5 and Scheherazade all the time because I played them at the same season of my youth orchestra at the same time, and so I've melded these like two pieces together in my mind. So it's kind of weird, isn't it?
That is pretty funny. Yeah. I'm gonna put
It's
a
a
link
good theme.
I'm gonna put a link to this in the chat just because I feel that it's a great piece of music. Scheherazade by Rimsky-Korsakov. Awesome job with the flute, Matthew says. Yes.
Dun
Dun dun.
dun dun. God, what a beautiful piece of music.
I love Scheherazade. I love that movie. I love that.
And there's a great violin solo. Okay.
Well, the violinist is Scheherazade telling the story, right, to the Sultan, right? Isn't that the whole idea?
Oh, is the violinist meant to be Scheherazade?
I think so, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And that theme is supposed to be the Sultan, I think.
So you better play well or you die.
That's
correct.
Basically.
Bum. Yeah.
All right, I
Alright.
got one more.
Cool.
This appears on strings and then flute, so I'm going to play, usual. And underneath that, the flute comes in. Always with the adding those little
Little
inappropriate grace notes.
Apiakatura or whatever it's called.
They're not inappropriate. That's always it's the flute. You gotta throw those in there, which I also love to do. But yeah.
Did you say it's
That part.
the beginning part you played is meant
The
to be on
beginning
strings?
comes in. It's strings.
And then low strings come in.
Into the kids' theme.
It's big sweeping strings and
Huh.
little flutes and stuff like that. Any guesses? Nada?
Is it
Is
when
it- Sure
it was a
is
beautiful
it when
moment.
Smee turns evil?
Yeah, right as it. Yeah, everything you heard is actually just then super modulated with it. It's really pretty relative, but underneath all of it is just this no.
Is
This,
it when Neil and Hannah are talking?
It is a moment where Neil and Hannah are talking.
When he's like, you can stay with me and stuff?
This is the kiss.
Right.
The kiss.
Ah,
And then she does
that
the
was
little
such a good
runaway
moment.
backflip, which was kind of fun. I know I loved the backflip, but I know that was a moment where she went up to the director like, "Hey, I could do this," and they're like, "Yeah, throw it in there. Go ahead, do it." As you're running away. So, to me, that was here's something to remember me by. Whew.
Yeah.
I'm gonna backflip.
Wow,
Yeah,
she's
this
so
is
cool.
I know. This is when she's like, "For once, shut up, Neil," and kisses him. No, she's nicer than that. She says, "For once, stop talking, or don't say anything at all."
It was
And then
very
gives him a
memorable.
kiss and runs away.
Man, Neil really killed it this episode. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm proud of my guy Neil.
I love Neil.
Doing great.
It's really interesting to watch. Again, like Attin, and then this planet is Attin, Adderall. What was this one? Adamantium,
Oh my
adamantium, at something.
Where
it's
like at DHD or something. Yeah.
AT&T. It's they because she's like, all we know is fighting and stuff, and he's like, I don't know, everything's peaceful. Why don't you just say you're sorry? And it's this like. And you see it a lot in the next episode too. They don't know. None of these kids, you're right, know how to fight. They've had no struggle. They don't understand why people can't just say sorry and get along. And to
Right.
them, they make it like, oh yeah, war. Just don't do that. And they're like, well, no, we have to do
Yeah.
this.
Well,
On
the other hand.
even with I love it in the next episode too, where they're like, what'd you do to Pocket? And he was like, why don't you just tell her you're sorry? Yeah, it's this kind of like interesting, I want to say, play on the suburban kid, the modern suburban kid that is perhaps stereotypically known no hardship, has had a good life, parents that have provided, which we all want to do. I don't think we should rag on anybody who had grew up in that experience because their parents perhaps hopefully worked their butts off to have that kind of a life for their kid. But like it's just not knowing what any of that is like. Even he's like, I don't know when the last time I fought was. It was when my brother pushed me off the stairs. It was like and I sprained my trunk.
Yeah.
Which must hurt.
It's a revelation that you
Neil.
can sprain a trunk. It's great.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah, their naivety is amazing. Like when they arrive on Ad Akron, they walk through a like literally smoking immediately post battlefield, obviously playground type thing, and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna like play around, we're gonna like do all this stuff, the smoke, it's probably nothing, there's probably nothing dangerous, like, it's kind of amazing, but that's true. Like they don't immediately recognize all of the sort of red flags
Right.
about the planet when they arrive.
Yeah.
Particularly, Wim kind of really takes that trope to the fullest. Like he does. So I feel like Wim and Jod have a lot in common a little bit. Like I wonder if like Jod is like a future version of Wim, but the future version who like had to just forget everything and cut and like I don't know. Oh my gosh, maybe Jod left his at whatever planet and wasn't able to go back, even though it sucked, because
like he couldn't find
they
it.
have some kind of barrier thing, and so maybe that's how like the Wim connection comes in. I don't know. I feel like Jod sees Wim in himself.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's from Attin.
Right.
And left, got off, kind of a thing. I mean, we're pretty. The current theory is among the people I'm watching with is that the supervisor is the captain, the ex-captain that we're going to talk about next episode.
Rented.
Yeah, or perhaps the concubine that stabbed him. I was thinking, what if John's the concubine? And I was like, okay, hold on, we're getting. What if he was the concubine?
It's me.
It was me all along.
Oh my gosh, yes, John was the concubine. I love that.
I see that happening. Also, I gotta give it to Jude Law. Like sometimes it was the same with like Harry Potter. If you watch that series, like brilliant actors saying the most ridiculous things and making it sound so convincing and so wonderful. Like it's like part of them. I gotta hand it out for his Eopie call. Also, Eopie sounds was a lot of fun. But for him to do that, what was it? Kind of a thing, and it's like all the things come in. I'm like, you gotta sell that. That could have been bad. You know what I mean? Like, there's moments that you could like you had to sell that real good. So I gotta give him props for just like giving this his all. All these actors, honestly, all these actors, actresses, and everybody in these working on this. It's really interesting. It's actually cool to see Eopies with horns. Because I think the main other time we see them is in episode 1, and they're dragging pod racers.
And in Kenobi.
And in Kenobi, that's right. on Tatooine, though. Which then, okay, makes me wonder. If we're gonna get into the lore of this.
They evolved
I thought
differently.
Eopes were like, evolved differently. Were they brought here to this planet? Were they like imported? Are they naturalized to Tatooine? Do we have interspecies across different planets that just like, you know what I mean? Like did Eopes just evolve on 2 different planets and end up that way? Did who brought who to who? You know? I think it makes
it really illuminates the galactic Pangea theory. You know,
they were all once. They were all just one big planet, Coruscant, Megasant, and then it became one big city.
Well, it's like the off-word. I mean, the thing that Eopes, you know, at least like hypothetically don't have is like the ability to like travel with autonomy. You know, but you know, you do have like the off-world Jawas in the Mandalorian. I remember them specifically being referred to as off-world Jawas. I'm sure, I
don't remember that.
Yeah, on that, you know, that second episode of the Mandalorian, which is honestly still to this day, I think probably my favorite episode of that show, with the Jawas that he's like incinerating with his gun. God, I love that episode so much. Yeah, they make a note like these are not Jawas. Also are elsewhere in the galaxy, you know. So I don't know what the deal is with the Eopes. Maybe they're like, I mean, sorry if I displaying a level of ignorance here, but weren't horses not native to like North America? Like, isn't that true? Weren't wild stallions like imported from Europe?
Definitely middle of Asia, Mongolia, right? That whole Genghis.
And certainly, I feel like this.
Yeah, there were different breeds of horses. The North American thoroughbred slash what do you call it, pinto, or the basic North American horse was descended from Andalusian horses brought from Spain. Is the breed, and then in Mongolia, there were definitely horses there. So I think they're generally from that kind of like Mediterranean area, like Mediterranean and then east of the Mediterranean.
I mean, I don't know about import because wasn't there a point when there was an ice bridge? This is me and my terrible prehistoric knowledge. There was there was some kind of like thing connecting a lot of these northern or modern ones are all European. Thank you, Ender. Yeah. Huh. Anyways.
Do you have another musical example?
I think that is all of mine from this episode. Except for we got a whole bunch of bum 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 bum.
Yeah.
Bum, bum,
mysterious
bum,
patch.
Bum, bum.
Just not
mysterious music, mystery music. Yeah. A whole bunch of that. And then I liked. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, it wasn't played on a piano, and it wasn't actually, don't pay attention to the rhythms. I'm just trying to do the...
Pay attention to the rhythm,
I'm making it sound like
the harmony.
Sounds really specific.
Well, it kind of... The melody that you started sounds like Herbie Hancock's Rocket. Bum, 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 bum. But yeah, I know that it's not that.
Whip.
Does it have to do with Neil and Princess Troy talking?
No.
Princess Troy.
Okay, it's actually...
Is it the part of the episode where Herbie Hancock comes out of and says, "Hey kids, who wants to rock it?"
I'll do it again. Okay, I'm gonna do it again.
This little
so it's like horns and strings, and there's like drums in the background going, boom, boom, boom. It's like, boom, 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 bong, 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 bong.
Is
Are
this
they in a ship?
No.
Is
I actually-
this when they're? I don't know where this is. Is this from where they're like going into battle? Right as they're like ending, like there's the smoke, and they're like, oh, "Who's in the distance?" They do that a lot in this show. Like, "Oh, what's behind the smoke?" And then it's like Jod or Smee.
Is this
Is
the
it
part
when
where
Jod first gets captured?
Is this when Smee turns evil?
No. It is who said the school thing. Did someone say school? Did I mishear? Okay, well that's what I was thinking. It must have
Christina,
been
did you
me
say
thinking.
Christina,
Who
you said
said
school,
there-
right?
We got Chrysanthe to announce what it was.
Yeah, it's like when they're
School
talking
thing.
about the former school, but then it also happens when it's a distant planet. When the leader is like, it is a distant place, you would not survive the journey, but yet you have potential. And then Hannah's like, maybe they can be of use. So I don't know exactly what it's associated with, but it did happen twice. So I did note it just because it happened twice. Yeah.
I love a good leap and a melody. It makes me very happy.
Yeah, and the leap was
Yeah.
distinct.
It's my
And then
favorite thing.
here, the second time it happens, it's, what did I write? D minor 6/4. And then I forgot to write A major there, but that's what I meant. A7. Yeah, so that's another one. And then I think this episode is when I start to believe that Fern might have a theme.
What's Fern's theme?
Okay, so it's it's dawning on me. I think it may have happened in episode 2 or 3 as well, but there are a few things that I wrote down for Fern that felt like kind of big musical moments that then felt related. So I don't know. I guess somewhat I'm going to be asking what you all think. When Fern is having her doubts, we get this. And then later, when she's expressing her doubts, she's like, "I have no idea."
Did you see anything about it? Oh, sorry. You're about to.
Yeah. So the second one is, again, I also didn't practice any of these. Two, three,
Interesting.
4, 3, 4. Yeah, basically the same thing. And then later we get also kind of a perkier version of this, where when she starts to realize, when she starts to realize what to do, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Maybe.
Interesting.
Did
When
you
I
also?
re-
Oh, sorry.
no, what did I also, go ahead.
I just keep also thinking of like for me the strongest Fern moment between the 2 episodes is also like when she's having to yield later on. Did you notice anything about it during that yielding moment or not? Because I feel like that is also a big Fern moment.
You mean in episode 5?
Yeah. Also,
Okay.
I don't know how quickly you want to transition to episode 5.
Yeah, I think we'll transition
Sure.
to like after this. And then I noticed just this week after re-listening to episode 4 after seeing episode 5 is at the beginning of episode 4 when she's like, no adults in the cockpit. We get... Sorry. Okay, nope, not that. But it's again, it's that... They feel related, right?
They do.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I feel like Fern might have a theme, which I don't notice one for Wim unless it's just the main kids theme, and I don't notice one for Neil at this point either. But I feel like Fern often has that kind of thing with the minor third, or sometimes an augmented second. But yeah,
I like it.
yeah.
Well, we'll keep a listen out. That's like a nice little Easter egg to kind of keep our ears perked out for.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
So, of course, we can transition to episode 5 now.
Yeah, she's an interesting character. I enjoyed, just real quick, one little note about Fern. You know, like I think this episode was interesting, to like kind of explore her her own little character arc there, where she's like, you know, she's kind of had to be this like really assured kid with having, you know, like a really like high achieving moms, you know, and being like having these high expectations, so she's like always in charge. But then she was like, had that note where she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I thought that was like a really you know, she's kind of really you know, she's like both scared and like confident. She's kind of stuck between two Ferns, you know, and
Yeah.
and
She's between two Ferns. Yeah.
I
mean, her response
no,
to that spoke to me. Like, it resonated when, you know, he's like, yeah, I'm sure you'll come up with something. And she's like, I don't know what she said. But
She's
she was
like,
like,
dude,
Can't just tell
but
me
I don't
I'm
want to,
amazing
but I'd
and
have to
expect
do
me
it.
to solve everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, just, you know.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I think that what's cool about a series like this, for like a piece of like kids media like this, like I think you can actually like spend more time with it. Like Neil has gotten his character really fleshed out in a really fun way. You know, yeah, I can, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, episode 5.
Episode 5. All right, I got one from episode
right.
5. One that I was curious. One that kind of appeared earlier in an earlier episode, and I'm now we can confirm that it could be a theme, and it's definitely in this show. This is an octave down, and it's actually on an alto flute, I want to say, but I can't go that low. Well, 2 of the notes I can't go that low, but so octave down. It would sound a little more like in actual context.
Yeah.
Well, can I just ask a question, because I haven't
Is
been
that
watching
the?
y'all at all?
Yeah.
I have a guess too.
Well, I just have a question. Did you guys comment on like all the like the blatant DSE rays in the
There's
last
tons.
couple episodes?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, you guys saw it when I heard
That's
those. I was like,
where
oh,
we're
we gotta talk
going.
about
Yeah,
those.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's
Okay,
where.
cool.
Yes, yes.
Okay, because this is definitely a DSE ray moment. Quote.
Right.
There was one where
absolutely.
like
And-
a previous episode where Smee is like speaking directly to what's his name, to Jod, and there's like a bunch of DSE rays, but like just like straight up the what do you call it, the whole theme almost got played a couple.
Yeah,
episodes
and
ago.
there was a point where Jod was looking at a skeleton and took a knife.
Yep. Yes.
kind of a
Yes, there you
thing.
go.
Yeah. So
That's
I
what
was
it
wondering if this was going to come back, or if they were like, oh, just random Dies Irae, so it's back, a little bit more
Okay,
fleshed
so
out.
where did it happen?
But where did it appear though?
Did
Well, then I'm. Oh,
did
go ahead,
Jod
Christina. Sorry.
take that knife off of the
He did take.
skeleton who was driving the Onyx Cinder? So that would
He,
be the first mate, the one who killed the captain and mutinied, right? Or the pilot of that crew. Just saying, that's also kind of an interesting, like, yeah, like it's could be
was
the
that
first
the
mate.
captain?
Now, is this the
Oh,
story
that's
of
a good
Tak
thought.
Rened?
Hmm.
Yeah, sorry, I switched. Yeah, it could be. I think that's interesting. That knife is clearly like we're getting a lot of Chekhov's gun vibes with this knife as
Yeah.
well. He's like constantly calling it to himself. It's got interesting lines on it. It's very interesting
Yeah.
looking knife. He covered in hair.
But yes, this is, I think, what I heard you say. This is when they introduced Tak Rened, and he starts
Tak
telling
Rened's story.
the story that Fern is like not
At
impressed by.
6:30.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I was wondering, so that was an alto flute, was the instrument that was played
I
on?
think so.
I've
I
also
think so. It
heard
sounded like one.
I've also heard Mick Giacchino say in an interview that he used a bass flute for something. He knows someone who
Maybe it's the
plays-
bass flute. Maybe it's because the bass flute can play the same range as an alto for sure.
Okay.
This regular, we call them C flutes. I can only go down to a low B, and this goes all the way down a couple more notes to a low A and a low A flat. So it's probably definitely a bass flute or an alto. Yeah, so I wonder if this is Renard Tak's theme. Old Captain's theme.
And if not
or,
Tak's
like,
theme, then like story of pirates, legends.
Yeah, the old
legendary
crew.
pirate music.
Maybe the
Mhm.
Onyx's theme?
I'm thinking
the
I
Onyx
would-
Cinder?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I was thinking Onyx Cinder or just Captain Rened.
Did this tomb that they go into, did or this like area that they went into like remind you of like the tomb from the Mummy?
I don't remember.
Yeah. And Indiana Jones. They were I was
Jones.
writing the music, I was like, they were so close. He was so close to doing the from Indiana Jones, but it was just enough not that he went somewhere else, which was good. Yeah, you didn't go for the cheap shot. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Mr. Composer.
Should we move on to another one?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've got another
Okay.
flute one. Unless you
Oh
got
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I've got one other flute one that comes in, which is also an octave down, unfortunately. But I'll play it where I'll kind of. It's a fun little moment. Just happens once, I think.
That's
I totally have a guess for that too.
Go ahead.
Chrysanthe?
Yeah, but go ahead.
I have it at 11:30 when it's not really a Jedi. Like if you're not
But, yeah, when he says, "But if you're not a Jedi," that's when it kind of comes in, and it's cool too because
when
I
he
mean,
just
if we want to
kinda
be like,
leaves.
if we want to like way hyper overanalyze this, the first two notes, which is the force, where this goes. Well, obviously very different, but those first ones are like, and they already used that theme. They brought out the Force theme in episode 2, so with Jod. So I'm curious, that was a nice little possible connection, or just two notes in the same order.
Yeah, I mean, so
Yeah,
I
because
think
Jod doesn't answer. I was just gonna say Jod doesn't answer the question. It's like this melody is the answer to that question. It's like the music actually plays. Yeah, I think there's a sort of a
It's
character.
the don't
role
worry
with
about
this
it.
one.
Don't worry about it.
And I find this theme, this little bit of music, to be one of the most recurring things in this show. Is the or something like that.
Pirate tea.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, it's kind of the notes shift a little bit here and there, but we hear that a lot, and I think we first heard it in episode 2, perhaps, or maybe 3. Yeah, it's all over the place. We also hear it. Let's see, pirate tea. Let's see my notes. Pirate tea. Okay. Oh yeah, when KB is
Ziggy.
awake and tells Jod that she suspects. Yeah. I guess episode 3 is when we hear it a lot, and then Jod giving the pep talk, right? And then Jod. Who is he giving the pep talk to? It's Wim. That's right.
Wim.
And then Jod's betrayal. A couple times. No, 3 times during that. After Jod sees the lightsaber. Yeah. Lots of pirate tea.
Sneaky Jod.
Yeah, sneaky Jod for sure.
Yeah, it's like the mystery of Jod's identity.
So,
Yeah.
question. Do we think, especially after this episode, do we think it's pretty much confirmed that he is actually using the Force, right?
I think it is.
Yeah. And therefore, like, what do we think is the deal with this dude?
I guess
Any
we'll find
ideas?
out, hopefully.
No speculation allowed.
No,
Says
I mean, we can
Zampy.
speculate. I mean, I feel like he might have
wonder
left
if
the
he's-
order or something, or didn't
Left the
rise to the
order.
ranks, didn't quite make it.
Is everything
Yeah,
he's...
I mean, if he
Well, now I'm curious if
had
everything
been
that
in the
he's...
order, he'd be murdered.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Or
Justin.
everything, if everything he's... No. If everything he's moving was metal. I wonder if he's got like a Magneto kind of thing. Because it was like the lightsaber, there was the door, it was his pad, it was the key, it was the coin, it was... So I'm curious if he's got something in his gloves. That...
Or maybe there's just.
I
I mean, to be fair, there is probably like a improportionate amount of metal objects in Star Wars.
Right,
Universe.
It's curious.
But okay, so
it wasn't a
here's
pair.
I'm gonna say what I think it definitely is. Okay.
Okay.
What the? Yeah. This is
Definitely.
what is. This is definitely what's gonna happen. Jod is Darth Maul. No. So Jod.
Clearly.
No. This
He's
is what actually
strong.
I think. Here's a crazy theory, and I would love to just like have called this. Okay, so we talked about like maybe Jod comes from one of these planets, these planets, right? And maybe that's why he knows they exist, right? And so check this out, okay? Jod was from one of these suburban planets, but you know, these planets have existed since like the old Republic days, right? Like pre-galactic Civil War and also pre-Clone Wars, right? Isn't that the idea? Is that these guys don't even know that the freaking Clone Wars happened, right? So that means I bet Jod was trained as a Jedi, like on his little planet, and by like old Republic style Jedi that were like had their own Jedi temple like on his planet, and then like pirates plundered his planet and killed everybody, and then kidnapped him as a little kid while he was like while he was a Padawan. But he can
So
still use
he's-
the Force.
So he's Star-Lord, is what you're saying.
That's
He's-
exactly
Yes!
what I was thinking. I was
He's
like,
Star-Lord
"Yes,
in,
Star-Lord?"
in disguise.
Jod is
Exactly.
Jedi Star-Lord.
George Star-Lord. I can get that. I like that. Either that
That's from
or
the Guardians of the Galaxy, Xanthe.
Okay, thank you. Samantha
either that
says-
or yeah. So go ahead.
I saw someone said that he is what Kanan Jarrus would have become if he hadn't met Hera. So maybe he was an older Padawan during the Purge.
Or what if
I'm just
since they missed the war?
I'm so sick of the
Clone Wars
Purge
were 12
stuff.
years long, right? So
I'm
Why? I feel like I will never be sick of the Purge stuff.
I'm just so sick of there being more and more Jedi that get like that we get more Order 66 flashbacks of like, not to say that it's not feasible that you would have many people that in that situation. I'm just saying, I'm like, we've seen it so many times to be like the explanation for why a Jedi is like, you know, it'd just be a cooler, it would be like a better twist that he like somehow was like studying, like that pirates came and killed everybody on his planet instead of like you know, the freaking
Or
stormtroopers.
There's
yet
also the
again.
possibility that he wanted to be a pirate. Like in the High Republic comics,
That's a
there
cool idea.
is Sav, who is a Padawan. She wants to join Maz's crew and do pirate stuff. So she like escapes from her
I love
master.
that.
Yeah.
I love it.
or what if
Yeah,
it
there's a
was one of
strong
those
lineage
things?
of.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. No, go ahead.
There's a strong lineage of force-sensitive pirates in the Star Wars universe as well. Like, it's not just Maz Kanata. There's like a few various pirates. So he could be like the child of one of these force-sensitive pirates, or he could be the father of one of these force-sensitive pirates in the future. Like, yeah, I don't know, because because Maz Kanata is really old, right? Like when we meet her. Yeah, I don't know. It's just that's kind of a thing, like force sensitive pirates, because I don't know. Yeah.
Or jumping off of what James said, what if it was a situation where they were sent to this planet, he was a Padawan kind of a thing, they were on the planet for enough time, and the war passed by them. And he kind of got off the planet, found out that the Jedi are gone, and had to disguise himself as a pirate just to survive, kind of a thing. You know?
Yeah, you find out
or
that the Jedi are now illegal.
yeah, it just had to become what it was. Yeah, all sorts of things.
I have a couple
how about that?
examples that are related.
Yeah, so how about that spa?
Yeah, okay.
That was awesome.
I love
How about
the spa.
Cthulhu in the spa?
Yeah, Cthulhu.
Cthulhu. The spa.
Ooh.
I don't know. If there's like an A minor, E major, incessant.
It's great.
Sort of
Which
sounded
is
like
funny
that.
because
they're arriving
those
to Lanupa, right?
Yeah.
those are relatively the first chords of Hotel California. So,
In that way, but
it's very fitting.
In the show, the orchestration was very Philip Glassy because
It was.
the intervals were super Philip Glassy. Like people don't usually like they're very like open intervals, right? They were very like blah, blah, blah. I can't sing an open interval.
Like,
I wish.
but yeah. I don't know, but then it was like one of them was definitely
instead of being arpeggiated like that, they're like perfectly parallel. They're like yampa da da yampa da da yampa.
Oh,
da,
kind of
like how Philip Glass goes. Yeah, like he basically uses poor tonal harmony. Like it's like all parallel movement of intervals you're not supposed to have.
Take that, Philip Glass.
You're not
Yeah, I noticed a lot of Glassian moments in this app for sure.
Yeah.
And then I have a related one. I needed I'm sorry, this has too much reverb. I can't do
No such thing.
no such thing.
Reverb makes everything 10% better. We know this.
No.
At least 10% better.
How could you? Oh. Okay, now we're getting the tour of the different sounds. Oh, I saw one that said harp. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Much better. Whew.
You don't have a valid chord setting?
Anyway, it kind of continued for a while.
Is this our four-armed performer?
Yeah.
Diegetic music.
One of two
with an
diegetic
instrument
spots.
right there in front of us. Oof. Yeah.
Now, do you think
Imagine
it was
being
a
a
Vela
harpist
chord?
with. I mean, there's the speculative pictures of Vela chords that have existed for a bit, and it doesn't look like, at least those two versions don't look anything like a standard harp, Western harp kind of a thing, but maybe this is them saying, no, this is what it actually is. Which then is funny because I really, really want to see Woody Harrelson play the harp. And like get really
In heaven.
into it. Yeah, like in heaven.
Yeah, that's
Space heaven.
Yeah, that's like a monkey's paw wish that he had, you know? Like he's like, oh, I'm gonna learn that Vela chord one day. I promise I will. And it turns out, yeah, you will, just when you're dead, you know?
In heaven.
It's like a
Among the angels.
cosmic irony of his getting his wish come true.
Yep.
Interesting.
Organology, that was, imagine having 4 arms to play the harp, or 4 hands. It's 20 fingers. It's great.
That scene definitely made me want to actually do my organology of the Star Wars universe paper. Oh man, if you can get funding to do that, please. I'm curious what other case studies you would want to use, Sam. In case you all aren't familiar, Samantha wrote and did like a whole talk on the uses of the diegetic Imperial March in Rebels.
Oh, really?
She presented this paper with Frank Lehman at Moving Images conference, Music and the Moving Image conference. And has done a ton of other stuff. Yeah, musicologist in the chat here.
Great.
Awesome.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Where was our other diegetic music? In this episode, or?
Yeah, it was in this episode. I didn't write it down, but it was like, what did they say? They said like, they're approaching Lanupa. Actually, it's right after. Let's see. Okay, you know how SM3's like, it goes by many names.
Yes. Battle Planet.
I'm actually not
Skull.
sure if that's the part, but I think it was in that spot.
I love
like-
when they exit the spaceship and he's like, Skull Mountain, they've ruined it. This is beautiful.
Yeah, it's before
The
that.
pits of acid. Where are the pits of acid? Where are the screaming victims of my captain?
Yeah.
I love him.
It's like sounds like a cavalcade.
Really wonderful.
He says, a cavalcade of fearsome, bloodthirsty buccaneers, no doubt. It sounds like a marching band or something. It's like at 12 minutes in. That's the other diegetic
Cavalcade.
moment.
Obviously.
I mean, the Cantina Band, the funeral procession in Andor. Yeah, the Ewok instruments, several scenes in Rebels and Clone Wars. There's a lot to choose from. Yeah. I feel like at some point I feel maybe we should collaborate on this, Samantha, or something, because I feel I really want to keep better track of all of the diegetic instruments and how they are represented sonically in Star Wars, and the funeral, the procession in Andor is just like a huge one. Remember those flutes?
Yeah, the
Oh my
marching band,
gosh.
the flutes, and all the gluing instruments to other instruments.
And then on Star Wars Music Minute, like when we were doing solo season, definitely overanalyzed what the Valacord possibly might look like, because it's been described in books, and sometimes the description, I can't make it make sense with how it looks, but I don't know. The authors aren't necessarily, and I don't know how much the people who do the sketches and write the books and do the descriptions are collaborating on what kinds of things can you construct on an instrument that would make what kinds of sounds. Brassian Bandor, nice. Nice, James. Nice.
That'd be not a bad name for band batch, the Brassian Bandors.
Bandor.
Right? I mean, honestly, that would be a great name for a brass band that only plays Star Wars music, honestly. Which,
Brassian
come to think about it, would be an amazing
Yes.
band.
All right, let's start. Okay, I'm in. I don't play brass, but I'll learn for that.
Yeah, there are no brass players on this stream at all. Hilarious.
Do you have another thing to quiz us on, Justin?
Yeah, taking us into probably one of the coolest areas or fun parts of this episode, I thought. Big orchestra, not a flute.
At the end or the whole
Tootie.
thing?
Tootie all the way. Well, everybody at the end, but mostly strings at the beginning. But tootie all the way, as we would say.
I like the pirate thing at the end.
Yeah, a little pirate. That's a theme from somewhere, right?
Yeah, that's the pirate theme. Oh, you mean from another media?
Well, I mean, it's our pirate theme too, but
Yeah.
yeah. Where does this one appear?
Can you play it again?
Yeah, it kind of gives a little build up.
Looking through my notes. Anyone in chat, feel free to chime in.
This was a long episode.
Their pirate theme is so frequent in the episode. I don't know which one it is.
I know, right? This is the big one. Loud.
Okay.
Everybody.
Are they? I mean, my guess is.
Nada?
I mean, I feel like it's like when they probably like see the throne room, or the gold room, or the plunder room.
Exactly. When they
okay.
open, when they all get to see it for the first time, you get this bum 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 bum, and then it
Nice.
starts sneaking around and don't touch anything.
I hear it now.
Kind of a thing.
Uh-huh.
What was the
Yeah,
time
it's-
code you said for that? 15? Or no?
For
what
me,
is-
that
what
was
the time code?
3128. 3128.
Yep.
This was a
And then
long
like the
episode.
lights turn on,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right with the music, you know.
Oh,
You
yeah.
think that's diegetic? I think it's diegetic music. I think it
It's time for the
Clearly,
lights.
yes.
And it had a very post-romantic, dramatic feel, or like
Yeah, it was like this is
I'm
you.
not gonna say Wagnerian, but maybe.
You are in the place you were looking for.
Mhm.
Welcome. Welcome.
Oh, it was also kind of like that part really made me wonder. I meant to go back. Did anyone go back and watch Aladdin? And when he goes in the Cave of Wonders to see if there's any like similarities between the Cave of Wonders music writing and this. I meant to, and I did not.
Oh, That's
But
funny.
I
There's a
feel
couple that
like this had a very strong Aladdin vibe.
it had that. It reminded me of, again, we were saying Indiana Jones, a couple moments from Indiana Jones movies. There's the Goonies when they discover these places. Yeah, it's that kind of that classic, the underground temple of jewels and things.
Yeah.
Probably the Mummy as well, as you said. Yeah, that was good.
Which okay, the chords before then are like
Yeah.
C minor to A minor. Which associative progression is that?
Minor, third, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm trying to I can't remember.
What the?
Okay, anyway. It's fine. It's all right. You know, one of the mysterious
Oh.
ones.
They used one of my favorite words in the Star Wars universe, which is so wizard. I love that wizard has taken off.
Again, yeah.
Because who invented wizard? It was Reith Silas, wasn't it? It was like those children
Right.
in
Acolyte.
the High Republic, the Jedi. They
Oh,
were
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to like they're trying to make wizard a thing. And it
Right.
totally caught on.
Jamaran, right?
Yeah, probably Ram. I can never remember Ram
Ram.
Jamaram's name,
I know.
even though it's obviously a great name. Um,
It's
yeah.
so Wizard Annie.
They also had my other favorite word in the entire Star Wars universe, which is Sleemo. I love
Yeah.
the word Sleemo.
Yeah,
Trust
I
the
can confirm.
Sleemo.
Oh man,
Yeah,
Pocket's
I played
accent in
a
that whole
Star
thing
Wars
was great.
role-playing game
Yeah.
where I made Sleemo my name.
Yes, this is
I
true.
know.
Yeah.
I've got a Sleemo personality that I can do.
It's pretty good. It's a winning personality.
Yeah.
I have another
Yeah,
example.
exactly.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So imagine bass in the left hand and dulcimer in the right hand. Okay.
Mm.
Etc. And it's like hammered. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know how they do.
It was very jaunty and very seafaring,
Yeah.
that whole section, yes.
Anyone have guesses as to where we may have heard that?
Yeah. I have it in my head, but I'm trying to remember. They're flying.
Tis the captain's logbook.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They're flying.
Huh.
It's before the logbook. It's earlier in the episode.
Oh, it's when they're like landing in the atmosphere, right? And they're coming up to the.
It's around that time.
Is it during the tour?
It's
Oh,
like
no, they're
11
flying,
minutes,
so
right? It's like
Yeah, it's like
a little after
11:45.
Yeah. They're like over the mountains, right?
SM-33 is telling them about how cool Captain Rened, and his lair were back in the day.
Yeah, this is right after the one Justin brought up with that flute melody, because I wrote that flute melody was 11:30. So then this must be what's right after that.
Yeah, it's like dulcimer and double bass.
Y'all, all I'm gonna say is this this show looks like $1,000,000. Like it looks amazing. I mean, obviously, it looks more like it. That phrase kind of doesn't work when TV shows are way more than $1,000,000.
Multi-million.
But point being is like I'm just rewatching that scene, like the visuals of them arriving and looking over the mountains. Like I feel like in comparison to like the Acolyte, this thing looks like movie quality. I feel like the visual effects are incredible in this show. I don't know if y'all agree, but I feel like I'm watching like
agree.
a movie every week.
I think it looks
Yeah.
great.
I think they're really going for, again, that 40 years ago aesthetic that was prominent in action adventure films in the 80s. Fantasy, action adventure, those things like that. It's obviously, especially Goonies, but like even like up to the early 90s, like Hook. You know what I mean? Movies like that.
Yeah.
It really feels like they took that to heart. And so we wanted to look and feel like even how like Jod's faces and like how he acts sometimes is like very like character of that time. I want to say like how they would present like those kinds of characters. It's also nice to have a little bit of like realism in a space fantasy world. Like I want to say like at the end when the kids lose and Jod turns on them and it's like kind of this moment of like, oh no, he actually has been in control this entire time. He has been playing you and he won. You know what I mean? There's no like when Wim picked up the lightsaber and was like, I had this like, oh, okay, he's gonna somehow defeat Jod and they're gonna escape and blah blah blah. And then when he like upside down and practically pierces his foot for a moment and Fern like yields and all these things happen, I'm like, oh wow, they did it. They actually like had a little bit of loss here, you know. And Jod is actually like a bad guy. You know what I mean? Like we kind of knew something was gonna happen, but it was like, oh no, he's gonna do it. You know, and I don't know where they went.
It's also
because
it's
everything
kind of
had
refreshing.
spikes.
It's kind of nice to see somebody like not immediately open the lightsaber the correct way on the first try.
And know how to use it.
Yeah,
like, it
I
makes
really liked
sense
that
that
he
somebody would, would screw that up, you know.
Well, thank God it wasn't like he didn't like do this with it and it came at him. He was like, it went to his foot. You know what I mean? Like that could have been really bad for Wim. Like really, really bad for Wim.
Yeah. I think the show is written really well. Like in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree too.
Like not just its dialogue
well.
and its like plot, but I feel like just the action sequences are also written very well. Like that's just a little example of like writing that in the script. Like the reason why he gets away is because Wim who is overly eager to become a Jedi and loves being a Jedi, of course, opens up the lightsaber the wrong way, and you know, there's like it's a very fitting, and I don't know, there's just a lot of little good moments like that.
It's a lot of they say like writing, like if it's every scene is and then you've written yourself into a problem. But they're very good at because it's not and then this happens, it's because that happened, this happens, kind of a thing. You know, because this happened, this happens, not just and then this and then this and then this.
That's a good point.
Which is what I'm appreciating. Really appreciating in this film, in this in this show. It's also the first piece of Star Wars media in a long time that I'm like, I'm gonna watch this again.
Yeah.
Like off after this stream,
really
like
good.
when it's all out, I'm gonna watch this again, kind of a thing. Like Andor, I'm gonna hit again before the second season. Anyways,
Do you have another example, Justin?
I got yeah. Also on flute. Modulates a few times, but I just wrote the first part. And then it becomes an oboe in a different key, and it becomes something else in a different key, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know where this is.
I do not.
Anyone else want to make a guess?
I'll give you a guess. We're in the same room. I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
We're in the same room.
Like the throne room or the loot room.
Is it when he's like killing everybody with acid?
No.
That part was
Imagine just like
laughed.
a
I was like, oh,
just like, and then it's oboe for the ass.
yeah, just fill that solo. They got out clearly. We don't know they died.
Oh my God.
We don't know they just burned. They just brutally dissolved 7 people. They got out. You hear them. They're yelling. It's fine. Well, the part also, this show's violent, oddly, in ways that you wouldn't expect it to be. Like when the guy goes up and hits the spikes, you're like, oh, oh, okay.
Or when the waiter comes over to serve the hut, and instead of grabbing the food on the plate, the hut decides to eat him.
But the
what's
most
funny is
mysterious thing is he says, "Not again."
I know, he says not again. Watch him with subtitles. He's like,
So
no,
maybe
not again. Not again, sir. Not again. And
maybe he just spits him out
for a while.
He just sucks
on him for a while. Yeah. That's it.
That's what you have to decide. Do you want to be eaten by a hut, or do you want to be
Just licks him like a lollipop.
You know, I don't know. That's a hard one.
You want to live through that?
I don't know what I would rather.
Well, huts don't have any teeth, so. But anyway, so.
Gummed by a hut.
So okay.
Chat, what do you think? Would you rather be eaten by a hut or
just sucked on
by a hut?
By a hut.
Gummed by a hut.
Okay. So so speaking of large moments, I mean, how about that? I loved the what do you call it? The kind of the heel turn or whatever you want to call it, the flip of your expectations, where they come back to the Cthulhu, and it turns out that he's not a danger to them. He just wants to be entertained by their stories. And he's like, and then what happened? Yeah, I really liked that character quite a lot.
Did we guess Justin's moment yet?
No, we didn't.
No,
I'll play it again.
Xanthe's the only one who knows, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's interesting. You said that it went from one instrument to the next to the next.
Yeah.
It's on like mainly flute and harp first, and then it's oboe.
Like an oboe, yeah.
Is this the part where SM33 tells them about Renaud's lair?
No.
No.
Because we're in Renaud's.
We're in the
already-
lair.
We're in the loot room.
Chuck.
Oh, Chuck. Chuck got it.
Chuck got it. It's when the data log, captain's log appears.
Captain's
Yep.
log.
Ooh. There's nothing better than a good old captain's log.
Yeah, it's such a big deal in like all seafaring things. It's exciting to.
3330. Yep.
Does anyone know one of the most
33,
famous
34, yeah.
pieces of literature that is basically the entire book is a captain's log? Here's a trivia
Moby
for
Dick?
you. Oh yeah, I think that's obvious. I would say maybe a more unexpected answer to this question.
Shogun.
Frankenstein. Frankenstein.
Oh.
That's right.
Oh, that's weird.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde also is all.
Is that a captain's log?
It's a big part of it, or at least a journal.
Okay, gotcha.
It's letters
gotcha.
or something. But yeah, captain's
Yeah,
log,
but-
Frankenstein. You're right.
Yeah, Frankenstein is like an inception of narratives that happen. You're listening to a story told by a captain that is then a story of like a person that told him that story, and then there's like a journal entry within that story. It's kind of crazy actually. Pretty wild. Anyway.
That thing that Justin just played, which is when they're retrieving the captain's log, and then when they get it, I think it's it's the pirate theme made,
Bum, 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 bum.
Or at least it's based on, So, yeah.
It's a really nice handwriting, Xanthi.
Oh, thank you.
Very pleasing
We can
to look at.
maybe we should stay in that lair. Actually, I have another one.
The Pirates theme reminds me of music from Banjo-Kazooie, if anyone's ever played that game.
Oh, I'm not familiar.
Amazing soundtrack. Amazing soundtrack, but there's some very a lot of stuff like that. It's great.
This is why it's great to have a ball chair as your desk chair.
So you can bounce.
Just kind of bounce to the shanty.
And then more instruments. Crescendo.
Leading up to the lightsaber being seen by Wim.
No. That's a good guess, though.
The acid leaving?
Ooh, the turkey.
Yes.
I was right.
Justin said.
Oh,
What did Justin say?
Well, it's also actually it's as they are. Happens before that. So like it's when they're like the riddle, sacrificing life. Jod's like, you have a lot to learn about pirates. It's when the kids realize, oh, it's
yeah.
treasure. We get that, and then when it does a crescendo to a sudden silence, and that's when the pool of acid empties.
right.
But yeah, it's
Right, because when the acid goes, it's actually the bum, 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 bum. That's what's happening. Yeah.
And we do hear, like, I think this is like kind of a harmonic, either a harmonic signature in the show or just something that is in a lot of the underscore, maybe in a lot of themes that I just haven't noticed the connections yet. But it is minor. It is like a minor triad. an augmented triad stacked on top of a minor triad. Yeah.
I guess that means sad but cool. Treasure is sad but cool.
Sad but cool. All right, rapid fire round. All right,
Okay.
I got one for you because I know we're. Let's see. Okay. Whole orchestra. Everyone's going crazy.
Okay.
You know, like. But
This is like the fight and the chase out on the bridge, right? Or like on the spa scene.
Yeah, they're like, Jedi 1, we need help. Bum, 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 then they're running away from the thing, and KB gets the wrench.
Bonus quiz.
I wonder what yeah.
Where do we? What episode do we first hear that? Because we've heard it before.
Right, there is that 7/8 one that appears also in this episode. That was in a previous episode too. Bum, 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 bum. Pursued by
Episode
pirates.
3.
Oh, there you go.
Yep, pursued by pirates.
But this one has time signature change. This one didn't. This one was.
I feel like the first 3 notes were enough for me to think it's the same.
No, totally, it's the same. Like I think they're probably all together. I wonder what KB's issue with the spa is.
I think she had a sensory problem with it.
That makes sense, right?
I felt very seen.
Right, KB was like, I don't want to go. And they're like, oh, but they're like, oh, it's the your corrosion from the thing. Like, nah, it's just gross. And but yeah, it must have been. Which I was like, oh my god, this is Xanthe in character form right here. Like, no, it's just gross. I don't want to go. But yeah, sensory, that could make sense. Well, I wonder if it has anything to do with their situation and stuff like that, or if those things like help their sensory perhaps problems.
Maybe that's or maybe it's a little bit like a desensitization or something.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Like they were so sensitive in the first place that they decided
so much
to
going on. Yeah,
remove some of it and put that towards kind of like a technology.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like some people do wear like sunglasses inside when the lights are too bright and stuff. So they're not the same thing, of course, but
that's fun.
Just ideas.
What do y'all think of pirate Gwen Stefani?
Yeah,
I like her.
Puckett.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Pukkit. Puckett.
Also, like how many names does this dude have? Dash, Zenton, Jod,
Professor
whatever,
Gorlock.
Jack.
Well, that's not that's just the name he took on for the day. But
it's funny. I had to look up. Yeah, right. I had to look up when they're like Professor So and So from Scarpo or whatever, Scorpio. Scarpo. It's like, I wonder what that was. So I looked up the planet. It's the Banking Clan's planet.
Yeah.
It's full of moons, Moonies or whatever it is. So when they're like, "Are you actually the professor?" He's like, no, I'm clearly not this species." It took me a second. I was like, "Oh, okay," because it's the wrong species.
Okay, if we're still doing rapid fire, I have like
let's
2
do
more.
it.
Okay. Sorry. 4. It's in 7. It's kind of a loop.
Oh, shit! No, I don't know this one.
It's actually a drum, so it's kind of
it's a timpani part, right?
yeah.
I'm trying to remember where I heard that. Yeah, where did that happen? I think it's like on the. It's kind of part of that. Like, it happens outside. Doesn't it happen like when I don't know? It happens like outside when they're like somewhat around when the chase scene is happening, and there's like. I feel like. Am I right at all?
No, it goes for like a minute straight. Right before the serene spa moment, after. Okay, they're looking. I'm listening to it. So, KB is asking SM33 questions, like, what is that for? What's that for? They're looking for Rened's lair, basically.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
A good pirate should have a different name in every harbor. Do hope Pocket will be back, though. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that was,
it's like timpani and I feel like it was also upright
oh, maybe.
bass plucks. Now that I'm
Maybe,
listening
yeah.
to it. It's like a combination of both, I think.
And then we get this, like, kind of lighthearted, mostly pizzicato. It's like an octave lower than that, though.
Beautiful.
It's like a very plucky, lighthearted. It's kind of the most silly theme I think we've had in this show so far.
That's
Probably.
right, yeah. It's
Is
at
it
least
when
it's
they're
not
entertaining Cthulhu?
No, that's a good guess though. Think earlier hijinks.
Oh, when they're goofing off, the wise ones are goofing off in the
The wise
background.
elders.
Earlier than that, it's
Oh.
the wise elders. It's when they're introduced.
I love when he
Oh,
says,
when they
come
come
out-
down on their platform.
Yeah.
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 But he's like, oh, they don't speak basic, or like basic is against their ways. And he's like,
Yeah.
they just start
Yeah,
speaking
yeah.
gibberish. I'm like, oh my god.
And
That's so cute.
Yeah. It's like
That was cute.
it's like
Yeah.
doing the C major, D major Lydian thing, and then I'd realize like, oh, it's doing the kids theme.
Oh, that's
like,
that's clever.
Which I think is cute. Like the kids
A lot of little
theme, like
clever
as
moments in this,
while the
yeah.
kids are disguised, the music is literally doing the kids theme in disguise. And I think that's cool.
That's really
Super
fun.
cute. Times 2.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Definitely better than our Bad Batch cute one.
And then just one I have one more.
Okay.
Simply okay. It goes on for like a couple
Ever.
minutes.
That was gonna be mine. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Goes on forever.
Do you want to hear Justin's version of it?
Yeah, I want to hear Justin's version.
Oh no, I mean it's gonna be the same.
Yep. Just a major seventh.
Like forever.
Trying not to step on landmines in the tunnels.
No.
No.
Neil.
Oh no.
Anyone have a guess in the chat?
James is clicking through. I can hear your mouth clicking through. I know where it is. It's clearly.
It's like on like my face is just lighting up with
You just-
different like lighting scenes you can like see.
Was there some conflict going on at that time?
Sure.
Yeah.
Like with
Was there some
Todd
conflict
and
going on?
Fern?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
I think I remember. I believe there were some verbs involved.
Verbs happening. Many verbs. Suspense, perhaps.
Were there characters on scene?
A few, actually.
Were they on the Nupa?
I don't
No.
know. I don't
Why
know.
don't you tell him, Justin?
This is the very first thing we hear in the episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's,
This is the
It's like
cubicles.
the parents,
When
yeah.
they're the
Cubicle
parents,
drama.
the cubicle drama, where
Oh,
the
right.
where Wim's dad just is like, let me just obviously take this thing, shove it into my computer, and then like hide it behind my back.
Right. Yeah, we haven't talked about that much.
Yes, it was in like string harmonics.
Yeah.
And then the elevator ding blended in really well.
Mm-hmm. I loved the droids, like, even the droid was like, show me both hands, sir.
The droid really felt like Thrawn.
He was great.
I thought. It had the same cadence as the voicing of Thrawn, where it's humorous.
We did it.
But...
we did it.
There it is.
There it is. Check. Yeah.
That was hilarious. The adults sneaking around was priceless. Yeah. Like, they were the least sneaky people. Like, that's also just a sign of like how you know their planet is doing well, because
they don't know how to even.
Literally never had to sneak.
Yeah, but isn't it like isn't his supervisor the other mom anyway? So didn't it kind of not matter? Like doesn't right?
Yeah,
doesn't he get caught and then turned in, and then it's like, sorry, maybe I missed something, but I remember just being like, oh, I guess the stakes were not very. Oh, okay.
I think it's more like the big supervisor, the mystery one, has already said,
right,
sucks for your kids. We're not going to go get them. Basically, that we're not going to. So they're trying to get messages off world without the main supervisor getting it. So that's why.
Got it.
And gotta love, like mother, like daughter. She's like erased, whatever, to the droid.
Yeah.
Erase the previous thing.
Yeah.
I like, again, Neil's mom too. It's just, they're just like clearly just like, here, don't let anybody see this thing in my hand. Like, don't put it in a lunchbox. Don't put it in a bag. Just don't let anyone see it. Oh man, I love. What is Neil's species? Has it been named or determined? He's not a Max Rebo.
No,
species. He's not no. He's Rebo-esque though, for sure.
Yeah. But Rebo's legs are his arms.
Yes.
There's a wind moment that I really liked, but I feel like I can't. I mean, is anybody gonna do an example of a really cute wind moment? That
I'm actually done with my examples, so go for it.
That's all I got.
I don't really know that I want to make it an example because it's just the winds going. Let me go back to my notes. It was in the 20s.
Okay.
Ah, there it is. And it's woo, like the clarinet probably just kind of goes woo, and it's very hilarious.
Oh yeah, at 22:43.
I really like that. It was so cute.
Yeah, I wrote brief action cue, cute clarinets trilling.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wrote.
That's interesting because his dad has got a clarinet bit in the beginning of this episode.
What?
Talk about Wim right now, right?
Yeah, oh, you mean the clarinet for, like he has a clarinet on screen, or like we hear a clarinet?
We hear a clarinet over Wim's dad in the beginning of the episode.
Oh. Interesting. In this moment, they're like, run! And then the woo starts.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like we don't know how to run away. So maybe it is kind of a, like, we don't know how to run away from things because we've never had to before. I don't know. Yeah, it's cute. So Wim's dad.
Yeah, and it's actually the same pursued by pirates. As well.
Oh.
Also, we said that there's 2 diegetic moments in this episode. I believe there are 3, because then we get to the spa, and it's like that very stereotypical kind of spa music with like the drones and the harp plucks, and I mean, it was definitely effective. It definitely sounded like a spa.
And I want to go to the sensory gymnasium I need that in my life. I don't know what that is, but it sounds great.
Yeah,
I need it.
me too. Have you heard of this museum called the Please Touch Museum?
Oh, maybe. Not really.
I've heard
It's in
of
Pennsylvania.
exhibits like that.
Oh, it says it's closed. Maybe it's, I don't know if it's closed for good or just closed now. Oh, it's just closed today. Okay. Yeah, I want to go there. I don't know exactly what it entails except touching.
Interesting.
Yeah. But those are basically
That's enough for me.
Those are the notes I have. We did also get some horror type kind of cues, I believe, in this episode. So we know that is now, that's part of the fabric of the show as well. Some horror stuff, like ominous piano plonks and like scary strings. Yeah.
It's a good show, guys. It's a good show.
I'm digging it.
I
really like it a lot. I don't remember being so like raptly watching an episode for a long time in a Star Wars show as I did this last episode, where I was just like, there was definitely, I don't know, I don't have a lot of stamina for watching for very long, actually. Like, I tend to want to like get up and go refill my water or do something for a minute. I rarely watch a whole episode.
And I'm realizing that my enjoyment of a show is like not unrelated to just like how well it's been produced, like specifically on how it looks. I find myself not being annoyed by the effects that I'm watching on screen, as I have been with a number of the Disney Plus shows, where I literally feel like I'm watching like, like a fan film or like cheap sets, or I just don't feel that way when I'm watching it. Just it looks great. And I felt that way about Andor. You're just like, everything looks great. Which is not something that you have to worry about when you go into theaters. Usually, I know that the prequels were often, probably biting off more than they could chew at the time. But like with Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Acolyte in certain moments, with like parts of the Book of Boba Fett, I'm just like, what am I watching right now? This looks so cheap. What the hell? And I don't find that like nagging feeling watching this show, and that helps me just like enjoy what I'm watching, because it's like it clearly has been like made in a way that like it looks great. It looks great. That's the point I'm making. So
It's getting better every episode.
Heck yeah.
I rather liked episode 3 as well. I mean, I've liked all the episodes.
I think they've all been fun.
They've all been really nice.
3 had the theremin.
Yeah.
I know. I'm very sad I
was
missed
just, like,
y'all's conversation for that.
Primo.
Yeah. There was a cat solo in that one.
There was a cat solo.
Yeah. That's a total highlight.
Accidental duet, monophonic duet.
Yeah.
That's so fun. That's so fun.
Great.
Yes.
Well, anyway, we only have
Awesome.
3 more episodes.
Oh.
I know.
I hope this is a one and done. I as much as I love this show, I hope it's a one and done, and we don't get exhaustive
2?
seasons of it. No, like Skeleton Crew in general. It's just one season. That's it. It's a story. It's complete, and we do something else cool. Instead of like, oh, this was successful. Let's make 8 more of this.
Right.
I think one and dones are great. Like, we don't need cliffhangers. I mean, cliffhangers are fun, but we don't need a reason. Like wait till season 2, guys. Just let it be done. I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah, I'm on the fence. Because on one hand, I think it'd be good to one and done this. And then in a few years, if there's a reason to revisit the story, we could do another season. But that's not really possible with kids.
Unless they came back older.
Unless
actors.
unless on purpose they came back older, for sure.
Right.
But we can't just like jump right back into it. So, yeah. Either they're going to do more seasons or not. Matthew says, I've missed more than half the stream, so apologies if this has been said. There is a pirate trope of a young boy being orphaned and adopted by pirates, for sure. I think that is Jod's origin, but with Order 66 added to the mix. I think, yeah.
I agree with you, except I'm hoping that Order 66 is not at all part of his origin, but it probably will be. So.
Yeah, I wonder
Who
if they'll.
knows?
I feel like they
Or
don't
at least
even
in
need
a
to
way
mention it.
that's-
I will.
Yeah.
I would be satisfied if they didn't. I don't need to know this season or any season. I feel like I just. Yeah, I don't need. I feel like I can speculate on my own, and it's kind of more interesting, perhaps.
Remember those days when we had to speculate about what would happen instead of having everything be told to us?
Well,
I want everything told to me.
No. I don't need to know. I like to think about it.
I hate
All right.
yeah.
I have
anyway.
to part.
Yes. See you all next week.
Woo!
Thanks, y'all.